What's up, Lauren? How are you? We talked about the Bulls, the Black. Right.
Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. WCPT. WCPT.
This the coldest boy show. You were getting the hour from 6 p.m. to 7. Chillin' with Lauren Cox and the man Marvelous. Shout out to Mr. Rouse and the Italian style. You what sports is the only politic.
WCPT. WCPT. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse.
Baez likes it. Rushes that to center. Way back, Fowler. See ya. Into the batter's eye in center field, and Baez on a pitch upstairs smokes it, his third of the year. And it is 1-0.
Rio swinging and bounce to Moran. He gets one. Brubaker over to cover, but the throw from Newman is well past the pitcher, and a run will score. And now, with Contreras still not off the field, there was some confusion at second base. See, Contreras is just, here it is.
Okay, he's outside. Can he reach?
Oh man, there's no way that's legal these days.
Contreras started out wide, and then as he was sliding, he was coming towards the bag at second. He should have been out of that inning.
Out. Double play, and the Pirates are out of the inning. Derek Shelton challenges the Otley rule.
That is awesome. What a great challenge.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Loserville. Happy Sunday to all of you out there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're streaming live on Facebook, broadcasting from the world's famous illustrious studios of WCPT, 8:20 a.m. in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago, in the outstanding neighborhood of Jefferson Park. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. Let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. You love him. He's not over at Wintrust Arena bringing in that new coach that DePaul is, I don't know what the heck they doing, but is it Dana Stubblefield?
Something like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you love him. He wasn't over at the friendly confines. He wasn't at guaranteed rate field. No, of course, he wasn't over there. He wasn't even at Soldier Field taking in a soccer game for the Chicago Fire. No, he certainly was not, ladies and gentlemen. He's in the studios of WCPT. We love him. He's known as the Marvelous One. He's Dan Marver. What's up, Marver? How are you?
How you doing, Jerry? You know, it's Tony. The other guy's an NFL player. Anyway, Tony Stubblefield. But it's great to be here. And we can talk about our baseball teams today and see what's going on. We've got going a few weeks into the season, and so we have some opinions that's starting to be formed. So
yeah,
it's that kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. But it's going to be great. We're going to have it looks like we're going to have a full season this year, not just 60 games.
Well, hopefully we get a chance to get all the games in, and hopefully Chicago fans, whether on the north side or the south side, aren't looking for a roof or a building to jump off of, because, I mean, it's still early in this campaign, 2021, and Cub fans, Sox fans, they already appear to be beside themselves. The Cub fans, they have a legitimate reason to be beside themselves. We'll get an opportunity to talk about Cub baseball in the first half hour, the fastest hour in sports conversation. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, along with the Marvelous One, Dan Marver. We're going commercial free, ladies and gentlemen. Our number here is WCPT 820 AM, the Rewind Sports 60, 773-763-9278, 773-763, WCPT, your Cub conversation. We'll also get an opportunity to talk some White Sox baseball at the bottom of the hour. My good buddy, my good friend, I love this guy, Paul Shivari, Baseball Weekly Journal podcast host, will be joining us, making his debut on the Rewind Sports 60. But Cub fans, Sox fans, ladies and gentlemen, today is Loserville for Chicago baseball fans. Today is Loserville. There's no reason, in my opinion. And Marvelous?
Yeah, you're right.
We can certainly dive into it, but there's no reason, in my opinion, that especially the Cubs should be looking the way that they're looking. I know it's early in the season. I know the pandemic. I know their first base coach, Driver, had to stay home because he contact tracing for COVID. I get it. But you're okay, hang on. You're playing the Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's the thing. The Pirates,
are you kidding me?
Pirates are the worst
team
in the
world. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the Pirates had won one game, I think, going into that series.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's no reason. And you talk about the Cubs. You talk about the team. I mean, okay. I was going to say congratulations to Javi Baez for hitting out the dinger earlier today. But you know what? He's the third homer of the season for Javi Baez, and he leads the ball club in dingers. All right? Yeah. Strikeouts, it's another question. Strikeouts, it's another question regarding Javi Baez. Now, I don't know if it's the big money that Tatis Jr. received. I don't know if it's the big money that Lindor has received. I don't know if I don't know what it is, but it appears to me that Javi Baez, your outstanding superstar shortstop for your Chicago Cubs, is pressing. He's pressing. And it's showing. He had 3 strikeouts today, didn't he? He had 3 strikeouts today, along with the dinger. Javi Baez is pressing. And the only thing I have to say to Javi Baez, hey, dude, brother, the only thing you have to do, man, is just play your game. Just play your game.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to those that are just joining us after you watch Matsuyama win the Masters.
The Masters? Well, yeah. Congratulations to him, but we need to change the Masters.
Yeah.
We need to change the name.
The name?
Yeah, you got to change the name. I mean, with the climate that we're living in now.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't move the tournament after they moved the All-Star game.
Yeah, you know what? And there was speculation that's been leading into the Masters that started on Thursday that, you know, that they should pull the Masters. Wait a minute, they're not going to pull the Masters. I mean, and especially days before it's supposed to start, they're not going to pull the Masters. But the Masters, the chairman came out and said on Wednesday that they're going to take some action. They're going to, make some changes.
Change the name?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? Honestly, they seriously, if they are politically correct and they're sensitive to the feelings of other ethnic groups in this country, I think you would seriously, highly consider making a name change.
Right. But the thing, you got to be careful when you make these decisions. I mean, they've really hurt the businesses in Atlanta by moving the All-Star game to Denver, for example. I mean, think of all the income that's being pulled from potential businesses, minority businesses as well, due to the decision. So that's another thing we can maybe get into.
Wait a minute. Hang on here.
Wait a minute. There's all kinds of money in Atlanta.
Yeah, I understand that, but the voting laws that you change.
I know, but I mean, still,
you can't have a bunch of white guys lock a room and say we're gonna make this into a law that's gonna hurt and oppress the black and brown community, minorities in the state. You can't have that.
I know, but yet you're hurting them in another way. That's my point.
No, but the point
there's got to be some middle ground.
Well, the middle ground is to be equal. That's the middle ground.
Right.
But when you don't want equality and you force, you take a bunch of white guys and we're going to lock the door and we're going to sign this thing. We're not going to have any input from anyone else. Okay. And oh, by the way, you're standing in line and you can't have anything to drink or any water to drink. Well, you can't because what's happening. Listen, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say on this one.
I think you asked for it. Old Man River, you must do something.
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah, they certainly have to do something marvelous.
Here's the
point. You cannot, because they don't want the minority voice to be heard. They don't want equality down there. And that's the whole problem. So when you talk about the economics as far as affecting the state, this is how you get the attention of the decision makers and the lawmakers, by hitting them in the pocketbook.
You're right. And as you were saying, Baez hit that 410-foot home run. I think that's what you were asking me. I don't know what happened. The Baez 410-foot home run.
We talked about the Masters, and again, I certainly think that they need to really seriously consider changing the names. And I understand when you talk about the Masters, I've never had the opportunity, the privilege to go and cover the Masters or even take it in as a spectator. But my understanding is the course, the facilities, it's like immaculate. I mean, the course, the one reason it's called the Masters is the simple fact that playing this course, and I don't know if you're a golfer or anything like that, Marvelous, and I've played some pretty decent courses in my day, but I understand the course, the Masters.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the most difficult court, one of the most difficult courts that these golfers play. And the fact it's really hilly, there's up and down, there's the slopes, everything factored into this course makes it so competitive.
Right. But here's what you want to know: how many black members are there
now?
Yeah, 9.
Okay.
Of Augusta. I'm just letting you know.
Well, how many women? How many women? Do you have a number for women?
I'll get you that. But Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are members.
Well, I mean that's part of the problem. But the fact that you have this major event and you're calling it the Masters, and you excluded blacks and minorities and women from this elitist club for years.
Okay.
It's a slap in the face and an insult, in my opinion, to sports fans, to sports journalists, to the average American. It is an insult because when you hear the name Masters, and our good friend Gary Myers, a longtime radio iconic figure here in the great city of Chicago, many years, who've been on the airwaves in Chicago, we had him on a few weeks back, and that was one thing that he said as well, that the name, the Masters, should be changed. There's no question about it.
Well, you got Condoleezza Rice joined, and so they have at least 6.
Well, no, I don't. She was only there, I think, temporarily. Is she still? Well, she might be a member, but she was on the board.
March 30th is what I got. It says they got the secretary, and business executive Darla Moore.
Yeah,
this is 2 weeks ago.
Right, and we remember that controversy that took place a few years back, and it was forced that they had to address equality and, equal opportunity as far as the elitist status that the Masters held for so many, many years. And, of course, Condoleezza Rice was added to it and became a member and helped implement and institute some changes down there. But there's definitely a long way to go and a long road. And, for me, honestly, I did not watch. I probably watched maybe 20 minutes of the Masters this weekend.
Well, the funny thing is, it just ended in November.
Yeah.
Because they postponed it last year.
Exactly. But I only probably watched maybe 20 minutes of the Masters, and that was part of my boycott of it, for the simple fact, one, that it's still called the Masters, and secondly, the great Tiger Woods
wasn't there. Right.
And, again, it appears to be somewhat of an insult and a slap in the face to many minorities around the country and around the world, for the simple fact that it is an elitist state, club. And it's this day and age, especially after this year that we've come off of, I think they certainly have to make some address some issues and some concerns regarding that. And I don't know what the name would be changed, but there are a lot of traditionalists out there, Marvelous, that they believe, hey, leave it alone, stop it.
They could call it the Augusta National Championship or something.
There you go. Yeah, right. There you go, Marvelous.
Yeah.
Let's write it in.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's write it in and let everyone in. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to let you in. Our number here at WCPT 820 AM, 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. If you have any comments regarding the Cub game, they were 7-1 losers to the Pittsburgh Pirates in PNC Park earlier this afternoon, and things, it appear, they're just going to continue to spiral out of control. And I say that for the simple fact, they got to take on a Milwaukee Brewer baseball team who's pitching lights out.
But tell me the name of the park they're going to play in Milwaukee. It's not Miller Park. How about that for trivia?
It's County Stadium. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Miller apparently sold the rights over to American Fields. It's now got a new name. I'm serious. I was surprised when I saw they're not playing Miller Park tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's the interesting direction. That's the trend. I think that a lot of what's happening in the world of sports, because as you well know, the Michigan State Spartans changed their name to MSU Spartans Rocket Mortgage.
Oh.
Did you hear that?
The actual team?
I believe that it's not going to be called Michigan State Spartans anymore. Google it. Look it up.
Well,
I think it was announced after they were eliminated by UCLA in that play-in game.
I know the arenas all have that, but I didn't know. But the Cubs got 5 hits today. I mean, that's pretty good.
The Cubs got 5 hits?
Yeah.
That's pretty good?
No.
Do you know how many hits the Pittsburgh Pirates got in this game? They got 14 hits. 14. So 5 hits isn't pretty good.
No, but, Trevor Williams gave up 10 hits in a third inning.
Yeah, the Cubs are ridiculous. They're terrible. And here's the thing. I've heard Ian Happ is batting 160. Rizzo is batting a buck 33. The great Jock Peterson, who hit his home run at Wrigley last week, he's batting 138.
Well, that was like last year.
Jason Hayward is batting 172. Sogard, I love the guy. He's got the glasses on. He's got the pants and leg hubs. He's got the socks and everything. He's batting a meek 143. This ball team is pathetic. They're terrible. They're embarrassing. You can't beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. You can't beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Cub fans have the nerve. They have the nerve to go out to Wrigley Field, the friendly confines, which is a beautiful place. We love it. There's no question about it. But you have the nerve to boo. You have a nerve to boo the great mayor Lori Lightfoot and
Pritzker.
Was Pritzker out there?
I don't know.
No, he wasn't out there.
Pritzker was booed at the
he was
Sox
booed
game.
at the Sox game, and I certainly get it. But you can't. Wait a minute. You need to boo your team before you start booing what's going on with the mayor and everything that's happening in this great city of Chicago. Yeah. You have to boo this team. And let me ask this question.
Okay.
Help me out here, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the deal. I've heard Sox fans. It's only been a couple of weeks that we've got this season underway, and the Sox fans, they've been doing pretty well. They had a great outing to open up the season at home, the home opener, albeit there was a rain delay, but it was a great outing. Yeah. Lance Lynn pitched his tail off.
Oh, he did.
That was fantastic.
I couldn't believe it. He went the whole way.
Yeah, he certainly did, and God bless Tony La Russa for allowing him to do that. But here's the question. I've heard Sox fans go, hey, you know what? And we'll get a chance to talk to Paul Shivari at the bottom of the hour about White Sox baseball, but I heard Sox fans say, hey, Tony La Russa, there's a guy, he's falling asleep. You know, they were out in Anaheim, late game. I was falling asleep, so of course he's falling asleep. He's, 70-something years of age. They're like, hey, do you think he's going to make it the rest of the season? I go, come on now, man. Wait a minute. The guy's going to pace himself. He's going to be able to do it. Well, wait a minute. Hang on here. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask the question.
He's got a pacemaker, you said?
Take it easy. He's 76 years old. Okay. Thanks, Devin Tingle, our illustrious producer. Take it easy now. Somebody say, hey, he's going to be sipping the sauce, or what he's going to be doing. I don't know what the guy's going to be doing, but I think he can do a better job than what we had before a year ago, all right? I think he can do a better job than that. But I need to ask Cub fans this. Grandpa, the other grandpa on the north side, David Ross, the guy that everybody say, hey, he's great. He's great in the clubhouse. The team love him. He's going to be able to kick him in the butt when it's time to kick him in the butt. Well, what is he going to kick him in the butt? When is he going to kick this team in the butt? Because they got a great. Let me tell you something.
Maybe he needs to activate himself.
Listen, he needs to do something because Ian Happ. I think Ian Happ is a hell of a baseball player. Jose Contreras. And we have to say, courtesy, thank you for those highlights, Devin. Marquee Sports. That double play ball, we'll get a chance to talk about that. But Jose Contreras, he's a pretty decent baseball player. Yeah. Anthony. I say Jose Contreras. Wilson Contreras. Thank you so very much. Wilson Contreras. You got Anthony Rizzo.
It didn't sound like Shambi. Was that the Pirates team that we got? I
mean, you got Chris Bryant. You got Jock Peterson. You got Javi Baez. You got Jason Hayward. Sogard. I like Sogard. I like Matt Duffy. I do. You got David Bodie. I understand, but let me tell you something.
You got Marisnik. He's batting 300.
I love Marisnik. Okay. He's out in center field. Say, what's going on? The guy's like 6'4", 220 pounds.
He's 3 for 10.
Wait a minute. Hang on here. Grandpa David Ross, Cub fans, are you guys giving him a pass or something because he's Grandpa? Hang on here. Hang on here. Ladies and gentlemen, this Cub team suck. They suck. They're terrible. And I haven't heard any stinking thing about the Cub fans and David Ross and say, hey, you know what, let's shake this thing up. Yeah, everybody wants to point the finger at the players, and I get it. You certainly should point the finger at but let me tell you something. Did you guys see the Blackhawk game last night?
Yeah, I mean, some of it. Huh? They were behind 2-0 right away.
Yeah, and you saw what head coach did in Colleton. You saw what he did. Mm-hmm. He pulled the team over and go, hey, wait a minute, what the hell are you guys doing? Yeah. He got in their asses, and what did the Blackhawks do? They went out there and they started playing. Mm-hmm. The same thing needs to happen on the north side with David Ross and this Cubs baseball team. You guys aren't going to the World Series. Yeah, I don't even think you're going to make the playoffs, to be honest with you. But the point of the matter is, play hard, effective baseball. Javi Baez, stop it. Stop swinging at. Yeah, you got a home run. I get it. You got a home run.
242.
Yeah, Javi. Stay in your own lane.
15 strikeouts.
That thing between your ears, you call your head, that carries your brain. Javi, take it easy. Stop swinging at everything. Stop it.
That's like when he first started, he was like that.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason being, I talked to my good friend Jesse Rogers earlier this week, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, Jesse." He goes, "Yeah, Riles." I go, "Jesse, is Javi pressing?" He shook his head and said, "Yes." He said, "Yes."
Because of the money.
Because of the money. It's he's pressing. And
he's going to get the money even if no matter what he does.
But he thinks he's the best shortstop in the game.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the best shortstop in the game.
Yeah.
And it's affecting his play at the plate.
Right. I mean, Contreras has 11 strikeouts, by the way, to Javi's 15. So
now, as far as that double play was concerned, what was your thought on that? Because
actually, yeah. I mean,
hey, Devin.
I think that back in the day when I played.
Yeah,
you were supposed to make difficult for the guy to do the relay. You're supposed to upend him. You're supposed to get knock him over. But now it's you're out if you touch him.
Well, the rule changed, I believe, in 2015 because too many players were getting hurt on a collision. So they ended up changing the rule, and you have to make an attempt.
Yeah.
Go for the bag.
Right, there'll be no Pete Rose and Fosse in the All-Star
Not
game.
Not at all. And I understand that because, again, we talk about the increase in salaries and how much money is being spent on these players, and you don't want them injured on plays like this. It's going to keep them out for X amount of, weeks, months, or, maybe in their career. So I understand the direction and the trend as far as Major League Baseball is concerned, where they're going with this. Jose Contreras, it was a baseball move, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think the mistake that Jose Contreras made. Why do I keep saying Jose Contreras? Wilson Contreras. Why do I keep saying Jose Contreras? I don't know. But Wilson Contreras, I think the problem that he had, the mistake that he made, was the fact that he did not reach for the bag when he slid.
Yeah.
He went after the second baseman. He did not extend his left arm out to cradle the bag at all. And the umpires went and took a look at it, and they said, okay. He didn't make an attempt. He broke the rule.
You're out.
And you're out. That's it. And then, but before we go there, I was about to say Jose Contreras again. I don't know why I'm saying Jose Contreras, but Wilson Contreras, when the pitch that he took in the back, marvelous.
Yes.
I want to, honestly, and it's the third time this guy's been hit. He's been hit 14 times last year. 17, he leads the majors with getting hit by a pitch. But the pitch that he took in the back, I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you heard it. But to be honest with you, I know I heard it. I think it was a 94 mile pitch that got away. It hit him in the back. Honestly, I swear to you. I wanted to cry for the guy. It hurts. It hurt me, and I'm just sitting there watching.
I think it's because you're a White Sox guy. Jose pitched for the White Sox. So.
I know. I keep saying Jose Contreras, but I mean Wilson Contreras. But I swear to you, I wanted to cry for Wilson Contreras after he got hit, because that thing hurt, man. That thing hurt, and he carried the bat nearly all the way down the first baseline to the bag. The catcher followed him to make sure he wouldn't charge him out. The bat boy had to come out to retrieve the bat. And Wilson Contreras was about to pound the turf with it. He looked up, saw the bat boy, and handed him the bat. But he is a powder keg waiting to explode. If he gets hit again, all hell's going to break loose. Because the guy's a loose cannon in the first place. He's a loose cannon in the first place.
I mean, he said, I don't think I did anything wrong there. I just slid within reach of the base. They probably called me out because I didn't touch the base. But for me, I didn't touch the guy. That's what he said.
Yeah, I heard what he said, but I know what I saw. He went out of the base path to go after. That's what he did.
I always like to, I like to, have everybody be able to defend themselves. That's all I'm saying.
Well, come on now. A bank robber would defend himself. I didn't steal the money. It just happened to be in the bag that I picked up and walked away with. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? No, and he's supposed to take that. He's supposed to take that position and say, hey, you know what? I didn't know. But the rules have changed. You cannot go after a second baseman or a shortstop. You simply can't do it. And one reason, and we'll get a chance to talk more about the White Sox, but almost the same thing, a double play ball late in the game. And that's another controversial situation that took place as far as the Southsiders are concerned. But Jose Abreu was on second base, and Moncada hit a ground ball, routine double play. Jose Abreu, he did not go out of the base path.
No.
He went, slid, direction, stayed straight, going to the bag. And it was a routine double play. That's how the game is played now. Unfortunately, that's how the game is played. And I don't know if it's how we grew up, of course, playing and watching. But I don't necessarily know if that was the right thing to do, or the correct thing to do, or the proper thing to do, because someone, and that was the object of the game.
I know.
To get the player out to hurt him.
I know. I mean, the rule itself, I mean, I understand why they don't want people to get injured. But, I mean, for example, the other thing is with the runner starting on second base in the 10th inning now. I got it last year.
I hate that.
But this year, it's kind of like I feel like I'm watching my 6th grade softball game again,
I hate it. And here's the deal. The White Sox game was rained out. It was postponed, rained out yesterday. And so they're going to play a doubleheader on May 14th.
Okay.
And, of course, the new rules, 7 innings each.
Right. I got it last year. I don't get it this year. you know.
Well, you're going to get it this year.
I mean,
you're certainly going to get it. Probably more than you want.
I mean, and that's in high school, you played the 7-inning doubleheader, so it's crazy.
Yeah, it really is crazy, but it's the era that we're living in. And here's the thing, what really is going to screw things up, in my opinion, when you talk about the changes to the game, is how is this going to affect the records?
Yeah.
How is this going to affect, numbers and status? And it can even come down to potentially Hall of Fame voting decision, so to speak, based on the fact that you're changing it to a degree that, because when you put a runner on second base, the pitcher is in charge. It's not an earned run. And Paul Shivari is joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. He's the Baseball Weekly Journal podcast host, joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. Paul, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so very much. It's debuting on the Rewind Sports 60 here, brother. It's great to have you. Looking forward to hearing all your insight and your intellect as far as baseball is concerned, in particular Chicago White Sox baseball. But correct me if you can. When you go into extra frames, and of course the White Sox lost in extra frames over at the Guaranteed Radio earlier this afternoon. When the runner is on second, that runner scores.
It's an unearned run.
It's an unearned run, and it's called an error because they're on second. But there's no one's charged with an error.
Yeah, I never actually knew how they score that officially. But
I don't even know how to put it on my scorecard.
Yeah.
I put the guy at second base out of nowhere.
Yeah, my
to address the
understanding.
reasons why, though, in terms of the 7 innings or the shortened extra innings, we understand it last year with the pandemic. This year, things are kind of loosening up where there's not as many infections as we've seen. But a lot of it is ramping up the pitchers again to the innings that they're used to seeing. So I think they're trying to save these pitchers. Because Lance Lynn led all the pitchers last year with 80 or 90 innings pitched or something like that.
He threw 110 pitches in his first outing. I've never even heard of that.
Right. Yeah. No, I think you're certainly onto that, but I also think it's a way to speed up the game because the fans' interests are waning, right? And they're finding ways supposedly to try to speed up the game.
I don't know if the fans' interests are waning. I think Major League Baseball is trying to appeal to a demographic that is turned off by the game, and if you move it quicker.
But that's one reason why.
Because there's comparisons where why is the NFL so popular when Major League Baseball isn't, when they're about the same amount of time in total, and there's actually more action on average in a baseball game versus a football game.
It certainly is, but the point of the matter is the fact that baseball is a non-contact sport. Football is a contact sport. Football is a violent sport, and we live in a society where we gravitate toward violence. So that's why, and of course, the betting, obviously, right?
I can understand in the ADHD world why football's more popular than baseball.
And even in football, there was more chance for infection with saliva and fluids being.
Yeah, but just in general, when you put the pandemic aside, baseball has found that fans are losing more interest in sitting in front of their television set and watching a game for 3.5 hours when they can be out, especially during the summer, right? Football is in the fall. It's cold outside, it gets darker, so, and of course, again, it's violent and there's betting, so there's more attraction, more interest. As far as baseball is concerned, most fans aren't going to be sitting in front of their television for 3.5 hours or whatever the case may be when it's 80 degrees outside and sunny on a Saturday afternoon. If they're not at the ball game, they're not sitting around watching this all that.
Well, and then the value of one game in baseball, too. It's 1 out of 162.
I was talking about that. I was talking about last year with the 60-game season. It seemed like the games meant more in a way.
How quickly things turned around, too, with that shortened season. I think a lot of this, though, the pandemic was almost a great thing to happen to baseball in the sense that they wanted to experiment with some of these ideas anyway. And with that collective bargaining agreement coming at the end of this season, which is already going to be contentious between the union and the league, I think that they want to start incorporating some of this stuff. So I think, going forward, we're going to see the National League adopt the designated hitter.
I was surprised they didn't do it this year.
Me too, actually.
Right. Well, again, you're talking about numbers and you're talking about, contracts and with the money that's being dished out left and right, you want to make sure you're getting the bang for your buck, so to speak. So all of that stuff is going to pan out. But I truly believe there are a lot of traditionalists out there as well who don't want to see a DH in both leagues.
I don't, but at the same time, I always thought that it would ruin the game for me, and I almost didn't even notice it last year. But I love, like a 1-0 National League game where the winning pitcher also contributed the RBI. It's rare, but it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, it really is. And this game that we were watching earlier today, the White Sox game over at the Rate, Kansas City, I thought that was a pretty, because I'm going back and forth on the Cub games when the Cubs just blew that thing for the second straight night. Of course, I want to talk about what happened last night.
Losing to like a quadruple A Pittsburgh Pirates team, essentially.
It's unbelievable. But the fact of the matter is, when I look up and it's a 1-1 ball game on the south side in the fifth inning, I believe it was, that's the type of game you say, you know what, my interest is there, because if you're a baseball fan, if you're a baseball purist, you want to see that type of game because you know that both teams are playing, for the most part, effective baseball, and it's a chess match. It's now down to a chess match.
Well, and the managers too, La Russa and Matheny, their relationship too.
And Kansas City pretty much a 4A team too.
Well, I mean, I think people aren't really giving them credit. I think they have a good core with Whit Merrifield and Hunter Dozier, bringing in Andrew Benintendi. Though they seem like they're in a rebuild, I think they're taking a big step forward this year. I wouldn't expect them to make the playoffs, but I had them as my American League dark horse that I think people aren't watching this year.
Paul Shivari joining us, the Baseball Weekly Journal podcast host, joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. Our number here is 773-763-9278. Ladies and gentlemen, 773-763-WCPT. Paul, let's take a phone call real quick. We got Tom calling from Chicago. Tom, what part of Chicago you calling from?
Northwest side, Belmont Heights.
My man, welcome to the Rewind. How are you? What's on your mind?
Thank you so much for taking my call. I just wanted to say I've been very frustrated with the White Sox. I've been White Sox fan since the first. My stepfather had me sitting in front of our television, round television, 1951, when Minnie Minoso hit the home run the first time he was up. That's how long I've been a Sox fan.
Wow.
Anyway, and the 59 and all that stuff, I was involved in all of it. But what I wanted to say, I'm very upset with Mr. Hahn, the moves he's made, especially by not re-signing James McCann. He's got a nightmare other than the Mercedes, which he's not going to really catch. But for the White Sox, they didn't have to sign Grandal. That was a big mistake. $40 million McCann signed with the Mets. They're so happy with him. He hasn't performed that well yet, but Grandal, he's been a real disappointment. And and I was just saying, what do you think of that move, as well as getting rid of Colomé? I thought that was a mistake. I think Hendricks is a big mistake. He's way overrated.
Really?
The acquisition of Adam Eaton, although he performed very well today, excellent. I just think that was, it was unnecessary. Good deal that we got. A good deal we got rid of Mazzara. He was a big mistake. But also the fact that we have gotten rid of a lot of people that I think are going to come back and they're going to really perform well. What do you think about that?
Well, you know what? Before we let you go, and we appreciate the phone call, Tom. Everything that you just stated, it's questionable and it's opinionated, and that's why we want to hear it, and that's why we.
I don't like any of that.
No,
I don't like any of the moves as far as all the changes. Not one.
But the moves that you don't like any of the moves that the White Sox made.
Lance Lynn.
So do you believe the White Sox are?
Dane Dunning, 10 to 15 years, and we got Lance Lynn for maybe one.
Okay.
But it could be a World Series.
Team control for, I think, 2 seasons at least, and I don't think you were going to get that sort of output from Dunning as a number 3 or number 4 that Lynn's giving you right now. And then Lynn almost moved up to like a number 2 this week with the way Keuchel's struggling and the way he's performing. Right, Lynn has been one of the most effective pitchers of the last 2 seasons, so I love that move. But at the same time, I'm with you, Tom, that you were really looking forward to Dane Dunning and the future of this club and some of that young talent that they were building, this core. And you thought that Dunning might be a part of it, and now that he's not, that's disappointing.
But did you really think he would be a part of it?
Someone was expendable. I was surprised that it was Dunning out of all of them, but at the same time, I loved that move, the Lynn move. But let's break down some of the other stuff that Tom was talking about, though. The
Tom, thank you, man. We appreciate your call. Keep listening.
McCann versus Grandal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. At the time, McCann's coming off his really what looked like a flukish all-star year in 2018. It was hard to say if he was going to be the same catcher in 2019. Or actually, no, this is 2019 going into 2020. Right. That's right.
Right.
Before the pandemic. When Grandal was a free agent, they were really banking on some of the slugging that he can do. He's not a high batting average guy, but he's a guy that can hit the ball out, 20 home runs, I think, a season, and the way he's great at pitch framing. And I think they were really banking on Grandal's defensive abilities, which sometimes when you see him, though, he's letting balls get by him. He's making defensive mistakes. So I do understand where Tom's coming from, but at the same time, that's a hard move. I think all of the analytics tell you that Grandal's the guy that you go with, not McCann, and there's no way you can carry both guys. There's just no point in carrying two starting catchers on your team. So I can get that move. That's a debatable one. We can debate that until the cows come home.
Right. I just thought that James McCann, when the White Sox, made the move and let him go, I question that because the fact that he had a relationship in the clubhouse and the fact that defensively he was owning his, and he could command control of a game, and pitchers liked him. Mm-hmm. Certain pitchers liked him.
I think Giolito and McCann had a really great
relationship, right? And offensively, he was productive. I thought I was surprised by the move, but I wasn't shocked by the move. Mm-hmm. And so I certainly understand what Tom is saying, that he didn't necessarily like the move. Now, Grandal, I think he has some injuries doing spring training, maybe some knee injuries or whatever that could still be lingering as far as what we know. But again, I still say it's early. It's still early, and I think that Tony La Russa, here's the thing, what people don't see, between the lines from the first inning through the ninth inning or whatever the case may be, is there's a lot of work taking place in that clubhouse. Now, Tony La Russa has, quote, end quote, the respect of the players because of his Hall of Fame career. But it's a matter of getting in there, day-to-day operations, learning how your players are, your players learning how the manager operates, and getting on the same page, meshing, and letting that foundation build to get to that winning attitude the Sox fans are craving and waiting for.
Well, and I think that's what's been happening this week, like on Wednesday with that disastrous, 6-run fifth inning or 6-run sixth inning where, Keuchel couldn't even make it out of the inning. I think, now La Russa owned up to it, and I do like that he stepped up and said that he made a mistake.
That was professional, and that was a pro.
Do you really think Tony La Russa was sleeping during that inning?
No.
I don't think so either. And
no.
I think it was a stress test on Keuchel to see,
sure,
let's just throw him out there. I mean, 90 pitches is not too much to ask for at the start of the season. Something might be up with Keuchel. I know he's had back issues in the past. He hasn't looked great in his 2 starts so far this season. I think that was La Russa seeing what he's got right now with him. And I think to throw Matt Foster out there in the situation that he did wasn't fair to Foster. But at the same time,
and he admitted that.
Look at the lineup that day, though. That's the most typical travel day lineup that you're ever going to see.
Right.
Trying to bail out of Seattle, getting ready for the home opener.
Right.
You already took the first 2 in the series. So, yeah, it's disappointing because you've dropped winnable games so far this season, but we're only, 4 or 5% of the way into the season, and we're still establishing bullpen roles. As for the bullpen, though, aside from Crochet and Kopech,
he was terrible today.
Well, Crochet or Kopech?
Crochet.
Okay,
Kopech was lights out.
Well, I mean, he also, I think, first time he was ever pitched in an inning where the runner starts on second base, and anyway,
he was terrible. Yeah. There's no excuse. He was terrible.
Sure, but he's been one of the lone bright spots of this so far. I mean, 1 save and 5 save opportunities, 4 blown saves to start the season as a bullpen.
Right.
4.99 ERA, but they are third in as a bullpen, third in strikeouts per 9 innings with 11.74. That's really impressive.
Right.
6th in strikeout to walk ratio with 3.08. Small sample size, but a little better than what we would think. Where it's really the problem for the White Sox right now, look at the runners in scoring position today. 1 for 15 today.
1 for
12
15.
left on base.
Yeah.
In the last 4 games, 222 with runners in scoring position. out of their, how many games have they played? 8 games. 6 of them, they've left 9 or more runners on base.
Right.
I think that's the problem right now is the offense. Sure, they put up a couple crooked numbers, but I don't think we're totally seeing that offense come to life.
No, we
yet.
haven't. We certainly haven't. Paul Shavari from Baseball Weekly Journal, his podcast, he's the host, joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver.
I think they're 4-5 now, aren't they, the Sox?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Today was the 9th game,
right.
Yeah. So this is why Tony La Russa is the Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame, manager, in my opinion. And a lot of Sox fans, believe me, I think you got to talk them off the ledge because, again, in the clubhouse, before the game, after the game, these guys are learning and they're taking a culture from point A to point B. Because what did Dallas Keuchel say last year about the club? Was it Keuchel last year was he the one that called out the clubhouse and say, you guys aren't coming every day serious and focused to try to play this game because he's used to winning? I think that's what these other players, and hence, that's one reason why you signed Jose Abreu, because he's the leader of the clubhouse. Those younger kids, they respect him. Jerry Reinsdorf understands that. The culture, what we're seeing now, is being formed and shaped as far as the White Sox are concerned. And the important thing, in my opinion, what Tony La Russa is doing, he's trying to get a hold on that pitching staff and tell them, you guys, because at the end of the day, to win that championship, you need pitching and defense.
Absolutely.
And I think one reason he let Lance Lynn go out there and pitch a complete game shutout, because he wanted to give that guy confidence. 111 pitches on opening day,
which is a lot to ask for a first start. But Lynn's been very effective.
And he said, "Hey,
years.
listen, I want you to I want to see what you got. If you have the stuff." And I was at the game. We were in the press box, and we were wondering, is he going to let this guy go out there for the 9th inning? And he certainly let him do that.
And I think Lynn said he was, most of the guys in situations like that, I'm good to go. And he was rolling. He looked so good in that game.
But Tony La Russa is trying to plant the seed of a winning culture in these players' mind to let them know, hey, listen, you have the stuff. They believe Dylan Cease, who pitched pretty decent today.
Moments,
He pitched pretty decent today. They believe, Tony La Russa believes this pitching staff is capable of winning. And he wants them to believe that and understand that, and he's going to put them in compromising situations to see how they handle themselves. And when you said Foster, when he made the mistake, and he said, hey, you know what, that was on me.
Yeah.
He took ownership because he was trying to...
I think it was more intentional than he's letting on.
Yeah. It certainly is.
I think people look at that and say, oh, he's getting old, he's falling asleep. I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's one of 23 people that's ever walked this earth to be dubbed a Hall of Fame manager.
Marvelous. What do you think?
What do I think?
What do you think, Marvelous?
About La Russa? I think it's going to turn out to be okay. At first there was, can he relate to the players and this, that, and the other thing? But he can have his coaches do that if there's an issue, But I think that his gravitas is going to be very important. A lot of respect, and he's going to be able to guide this team in better than Ricky, I think.
Well, there's no question about it. Now, real quick, Paul, and we appreciate you joining us, debuting on the Rewind Sports 60. You'll be with us all. We're going to bring you on all throughout the course of the summer because we definitely want to hear your insight as far as baseball is concerned. Let's go to the north side real quick. Your thoughts on what the hell is going on with the Cubbies. I think David Ross, I think the fans need to hold him, his keister to the fire a little bit because you don't get a pass. You don't get a pass, and I don't want to hear about the 60-game, shortened season last year regarding the pandemic. This is the move that the Cubs made because they felt it was a transition. There were a lot of valuable managers on the market looking for a gig. They went with David Ross because they felt that he knew the culture, he knew the clubhouse, the players liked him, they respected him. He could be a hard ass and put a foot up their ass if he needed to and get the results they're looking for. This team looks to be in shambles as far as from what I've been able to see.
Well, they're the worst hitting team right now in Major League Baseball. And how is that possible? It's not even like they're riddled with injuries. You still have the sluggers and Rizzo and Bryant and Baez and Happ and Contreras. You bring in Jock Peterson, who can hit the long ball, and we saw him crush one the other day and get his waffle maker.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
But, where is, I would assume that just like, baseball, the regression to the mean or whatever, in this case, the progression to the mean, I think eventually they're going to start hitting. The really concerning part is that this is happening against Pittsburgh, who is coming off on paper the worst team in baseball. They are not trying. They are rebuilding. They are trying to shift into a new direction.
They had lost 6 games in a row coming into this thing. The Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And yet the Cubs, yesterday and today, struggle against them, putting up.
They gave up 10 runs in the second inning, 7 yesterday and 3 in the. I know. I'm on Twitter and I got people. They're saying, hey, you know what? After they scored 7 runs, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the people they're bailing out. I'm out of here. I'll see you later. It's Paul. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. But I'm wondering how much with Baez, Bryant, and Rizzo, the fact that they weren't able to work out long-term deals is lingering into the season. And I know they don't want to sign contract extensions during the season, but at the same time, the Cubs are going to face a dilemma at some point toward the trade deadline with all 3 of these guys becoming free agents at the end of the year. You can't let all 3 of them walk and then lose them in the season. So at some point, especially if they're struggling like this and they're not in contention, all 3 or maybe one of those 3 are going to go.
Well, see, Jed, go ahead.
You think, though, Paul, that they'd want to enhance their value by performing better, though?
I mean, they're still going to have value. I mean,
I know.
Anyone's going to want Chris Bryant at the very least. As for Baez, I mean, I need to see his bat wake up. I mean, we know what he can do defensively. And I'm surprised with Rizzo and how much he means to this city that they wouldn't just give him some sort of deal. I don't think he's trying to command a deal that's comparable to what Fernando Tatis and Francisco Lindor are looking for. And I don't think Baez is ever going to get anywhere near that as well. But it's just, and I know that they don't have to give these guys, feel-good contracts to legacy contracts or anything like that. But you would think that they'd want to build the future of this team around Anthony Rizzo, but he's already taken a hometown discount. So I think the team has already run out of favors from these guys, and they want to be paid.
How does a salary cap work, too? I mean, in baseball, is that
there's no cap. There's no cap, yeah.
So here's the problem, though. Anthony Rizzo said, hey, you know what? I'm not talking about this anymore. Jed Hoyer came back, a few days later, a week later, and said, you know what? I don't worry about it because we're going to take care of Anthony Rizzo.
Well,
so he's got to own up to that.
I mean, he followed him Boston to San Diego to Chicago.
Yeah. So he's got to own up to that. That means Jed Hoyer. He's got to own up to that because he's on record to say, hey, I'm not worried about the signing Anthony Rizzo. We're going to take care of him. That's a done deal. Javi Baez, his problem is he's pressing. He's pressing, and he's hurting his market value more so than anything because, as you know, his numbers from 18, 19, 20. He's admitted it on record that he's an up and down player. He's not consistent 162 games. Now, no, most players aren't consistent 162 plays, but when you got a guy that. The strikeouts are incredible for this guy because he lacks discipline at the plate.
He swings out of his shoes.
Yeah, and so it's going to affect him on his defensive side as far as, in my opinion, he's hurting his market value more by thinking so much about everything else that's going on and not focusing on what he can control and handle. That's going to affect him. And as far as Chris Bryant is concerned, listen. Congratulations
I'm willing to
to
say
him.
that Bryant's going to be gone at the trade deadline.
He's
I think
ready to
Atlanta or the New York Mets are probably going to be the likely.
When you watch them, you can tell that he is not happy here, and he was on the record earlier to say, "I'm not having fun playing this game anymore." He's more, and congratulations to he and his beautiful bride, but their beautiful child. He's happier and more humble with the newborn and enjoying everything that's going on with that, more so than with baseball.
Yeah,
and I think it's affecting his consistent overall play on the field and at the plate.
This has been the Cubs, though, since about 2019, though. It was, when was this window going to close? And you kind of saw they had some late magic in 2019, but eventually just lost the division to the Cardinals. 2020, it was such a shortened season that they were able to win that sprint. But, of course, they run into the Marlins, and they had really no business getting swept by the Marlins in that series, despite the fact the Marlins had really good pitching. But I think you're finally seeing it run out this year, and I think it's the off-the-field stuff that's affecting the on-the-field stuff. And I really think that the Cubs fans got cheated out of this from 2015 to now. I think they
Cubs
got
fans
the
got cheated.
They got the World Series. They got the World Series out of it, but this was a team that was supposed to be a dynasty.
So here's that. That was a pipe dream, in my opinion. That was a pipe dream, and I said this even during the rebuild in 2015. We weren't here on WCPT, but I said this on the Rewind Sports 60. I said the Cubs and what they're doing here, building this dynasty team, they are going to be the 20,000, whatever.
Well,
Atlanta Braves.
Some of the moves they made after that.
And they didn't even measure up to the Atlanta Braves back in the 90s when they were just, winning divisions and won championship. The Cubs won their championship, but that's all she wrote.
That's because they had Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox the whole time.
But it was a pipe dream, to be honest with you, from the way I looked at it, that this Cubs team was built to be dynasty World Series champions.
There's a lot of win now reload type of moves, though. I mean, you lost Jorge Soler, who at one point was a 50 home run guy. Yeah, you lost Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease.
That was a stupid move.
Jose Quintana. That was a
very
dumb move.
Rick Hahn, congratulations for the move that you made. That was a brilliant move, and the Cubs fell for it.
I mean, sure, it helped the Cubs that year because they lost to the Dodgers in the 2017 NLCS, and sure, Quintana could have helped them. But there's been a lot of win now reload type of moves with the Cubs where they weren't sustaining themselves.
Right,
and
exactly.
Now that's where they're in. But they still have a talented roster, and I just don't understand why they're not getting production out of that team.
And Bryant goes, they still have Bodie and Horner, to cover the infield spots, so they'd survive that.
But I still love Marisnik out there. Jake Marisnik, number 6? The guy is 6'4", 220 pounds or 202 pounds. I love the guy. I love the guy.
He also had sort of a Pete Rose moment. I don't remember that. He bowled over LaCroix when he was with Houston.
Yeah.
And LaCroix hasn't been the same catcher since.
Yeah. The Sox let him go, didn't they, LaCroix?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they certainly did.
He was Washington, opening day catcher because all their other catchers had COVID.
Yep.
And I'm wondering about Schwarber and Lester. They haven't been on the roster yet either.
Yeah.
Paul, any closing thoughts before we say goodbye, my good friend?
I'm bummed that Fernando Tatis is going to be out for a while.
Oh, yeah.
He was an exciting player, but it's been an exciting season so far. I'm really looking forward to the rest of it.
Dexter Fowler tore his ACL, so he's out as well. So, you know what? Wow. Hey, it's baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rewind Sports 60, the fastest hour in sports conversation. Thank you to our guest, Paul Shivari. He will, again, be joining us, Baseball Weekly Journal podcast. He is the host of the show. And, of course, the Marvelous One. What's your closing thoughts, man?
That was fast.
Change the Masters, Marvelous.
That was fast.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed any portion of this broadcast, you can check us out on YouTube, Facebook. You can check us out on the RewindSports60.com. Of course, you can go to WCPT820.com. And on Wednesdays in the northern suburbs, ladies and gentlemen, we're on Comcast Access at 7 o'clock p.m., Channel 17, Channel 19, Channel 35. This has been another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. I want to thank our illustrious producer, outstanding Devin Tingle, kicking butt and taking names, ladies and gentlemen. Jerry Ryle signing off. Guys, have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the week, and we'll see you next week, right here, WCPT 820 AM, here in Chicago. Take care, everybody. What's up, Lauren? How are you? We talked about the Bulls, the Black...
Relax. Reset. Rejuvenate. Go to a link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. WCPT. WCPT.
This the coldest sports show. You were getting the hour from 6 p.m. to 7. Chillin' with Lauren Cox and the man Marvelous. Shout out to Mr. Rouse and the Italian style. You what sports is the only politic.
WCPT. WCPT. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse.
Gonzaga has time to do something. Sox for the win. Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Unbelievable! Unbelievable! The perfect season remains on go.
Are you? Oh, my God. There is. There are onions, Jim, and then there are major onions with a kiss.
Oh, my goodness. One of the great games.
And look at the poise of this kid. We talked about his defense, but how about that? He sort of knew it.
The highest ranked player in Zag's history recruit.
And that's the reason.
He came for this moment to play with Mark Few, the chance to win a championship, and wow, impressive.
Well, Jim, I love in front of us all these kids actually caressing and applauding one another, and that is just some way to end a classic basketball game. Woo!
Onto the base, yes he did. Alan Porter, Anthony Rizzo doing the splits, made the grab.
Gumby.
Wow. In the air, center field. Alford back. Turn in, Dinger dollars for everybody, and Happ will touch them all. 3-0. Baez around shin high, ball game. Cubs win.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cubs win. Welcome everyone to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're streaming live on Facebook Live, broadcasting from the world's famous illustrious studios of WCPT 820 AM, ladies and gentlemen, in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago and the outstanding neighborhood of Jefferson Park. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Yours truly, Jerry Riles. Our number is 773-763-9278. 773-763 WCPT. It's fast hours of sports conversation. Want you to be a part of it. Those highlights courtesy of Marquee Sports. Cubs baseball. Cubs win. Cubs win. 4-3 victory over the Pittsburgh Pirates over at the friendly confines to take the 2 out of 3 of the series, the opening series of your 2021 baseball season. Chicago Cubs with a victory. David Ross gets the team going. We'll get a chance to talk about Cub baseball, White Sox baseball, and of course the incredible Final Four contest between the UCLA Bruins and the Gonzaga. What are the Gonzaga?
Well, the Zags.
Huh?
Bulldogs.
The Dogs. What an incredible game, ladies and gentlemen. You love him. He wasn't at Wrigley today to take in the Pittsburgh Chicago Cubs game. The Cubs with the victory. He's not over on the south side at guaranteed rate field, waiting for the White Sox to come home to open up Thursday against the Kansas City Royals. Ladies and gentlemen, not at the UC, checking out the Bulls or the Blackhawks. He's in the studios. The WCPT, you love him. He's known as the Marvelous One. He's Dan Marble. What's up, Marble? How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thank God that you texted me last night. Unbelievable, because when that game ended, so I got to I turned it back so I could see the end because it was past my bedtime already.
No.
Yeah, but that's okay. It was okay. It was Onions with a Kiss, thanks to CBS with Raftery and Nance and Hill. We got to give them our due.
Of course.
And then the other big news is Porter Moser, Oklahoma. Well, that's another big thing that's happening with the Loyola Ramblers.
Yeah.
Losing their coach, but it's going to be the top two teams in the polls: Baylor versus Gonzaga tomorrow night.
Yeah,
it's not going to be, can't be as good as the UCLA Gonzaga game.
Well, you know what? I'm telling my daughters and my family and anyone else who will listen that I think the championship game between Baylor and Gonzaga, I think that could be a quadruple overtime game, because the way that the UCLA Bruins played, and everybody counted them out, and congratulations to them first and foremost for making it. They were in the play-in game to beat Michigan State a couple of weeks back, and remember we were talking about that game because Coach Tom Izzo was going after his players heading into the locker room, and I thought that incidentally basically cost the Michigan State Spartans. They're going to be known now as the MSU Spartans of Rocket Mortgage or something like that coming up. But I thought that encounter at the end of the first half of that game cost them in the long run, because they never really regrouped. They never got their composure, and of course the Bruins took advantage of it and they advanced, and then they just started knocking off ranked teams, and they made it to the Final Four. So congratulations to them. But that game, a lot of people were writing off the UCLA Bruins because they just simply felt that they didn't have the manpower, they didn't have enough discipline, they didn't have enough stamina to withstand Gonzaga, who's just been running roughshod pretty much over everybody, and they're just an outstanding basketball team. Mark Few has done a great job of getting those guys focused with an interior game, an exterior game, outside game, of whatever the case may be, and they love to run the rock. But everyone was saying, hey, listen, UCLA, they got a good team, it's a nice run, they're not a Cinderella team because they've the only team in the Final Four to win a championship out of all the teams, but they've run their course, and UCLA said, hey, wait a minute. Nick Cronin said, hey, wait a minute. We can play basketball, too. What a finish. What an incredible finish it was.
Unbelievable. UCLA, Michigan State, Drake, and Wichita were the last four in. That's how they determined the first four. Plus.
Exactly.
So they barely got them, but the Pac-12 was incredible. They had the Oregon State. They had quite a bit of representation in that USC even, Colorado. So they were really well represented. So the conference was tough, and Oregon State won the postseason tournament. And UCLA, Cronin was at Cincinnati, so he's some experience with the NCAA as well, and so it'll just be interesting to see. And there's coaches moving around and whatnot, and it'll be interesting to see what other dominoes fall with the coaching switches, because there's quite a few openings still.
Yeah, Porter Moser says goodbye to the Loyola Ramblers here in Chicago. He's taking a 6-year deal to coach the Oklahoma Sooners. God bless him, and good luck to him there. And of course, the program elevated their position. Well, they promoted from within.
Yep.
They promoted from within, so it looks like they're going to stay the course as far as what they're doing and rebuilding that program with the Ramblers, and we'll see what happens there. But I think the contest between Baylor and Gonzaga, that is going to be an outstanding basketball game, because both teams are, before the tournament started, picking out the brackets and everything and doing the selection, and I was telling people, I said, I'm not sure about Baylor being one of those Final Four teams, because, of course, they had the COVID, they were hit with that, and once they got back to playing, they didn't appear to be the team that they were prior to having to shut everything down. And I just didn't think they had enough time to regroup, gather themselves back up, and make a run for it. But they certainly have done that. It's actually a blessing for them, because it seems as if they got the rest they needed. They got a little bit more focus as far as running their plays and doing the things they needed to do. And they're punching on all cylinders. So this is what everyone's been waiting to see, Marver. Yep. They've been waiting to see the number 1 team and the number 2 team in the country pretty much all season long go head to head. And I think it's going to be an outstanding basketball game.
Yep,
whoever
absolutely
wins.
Yeah, you mentioned the new loyal coach is apparently going to be Drew Valentine, Denzel's brother. Mm-hmm. But Baylor, I mean, they did lose that very tough conference. They did lose to Kansas and Oklahoma State this year, so they can't be beaten. But they're very strong, and it's hard to compare conferences. They're obviously Baylor's in a stronger conference, but I hope it measures up to the semifinal game with Gonzaga and UCLA. But Baylor, I really think they may have an edge, because I think they have a little bit more depth. But we'll see how it pans out.
Right. They match up pretty well. They match up well. And I think they shot against the Houston Cougars. I think they shot 42%?
Yeah.
From the field.
Yeah.
So and they can hit from anywhere. They can hit from anywhere.
Yeah.
That, of course, Baylor.
Right.
So they can match Gonzaga basket for basket if they have to. I think they can match them with speed. I think if they are able to get past Gonzaga, the undefeated Gonzaga, I think that it's going to be their physicality.
Right.
I think they're a little bit more physical than Gonzaga.
They disposed of Houston quite easily, 78-59, and they're shooting. I mean, their 3-point percentage was almost 50%, 45.8, and their overall percentage was 52.7. So
amazing.
Only 9 turnovers and 33 rebounds. So I mean, they're a powerful team, and I think that they're actually going to win the game.
So
personally,
you think
Baylor's going to win the game?
Well, I thought for sure UCLA was going to win last night. The Suggs with that incredible shot. 3.3 seconds left in regulation after UCLA tied it up. Off a missed shot, they tied it up 90 apiece.
Yeah,
and then
I was actually going to get a beverage for the second overtime. That's why I appreciate your unbelievable text.
It was because again, I'm watching it, with the family and the girls. They're home for Easter, and happy Easter to all of you out there. Happy Easter. For those of you who celebrate Passover, happy Passover if we missed you. But I hope everyone had an enjoyable weekend. I hope everyone had an enjoyable Easter Sunday, and they're continuing to enjoy the Easter Sunday, and looking forward to this upcoming week, because the weather, the temperature here in the Chicagoland area is supposed to be phenomenal. This was a picture perfect day, Sunday, Easter Sunday, here in the greatest city in the world. That, of course, Chicago, Illinois. Beautiful, beautiful sunshine, blue skies, pleasant breeze. We had our passed over from church for Sunday brunch at the house today, and the Lisa and the girls, they did an outstanding job putting together a great spread. And of course, you know that we're a vegan/vegetarian family, so I'm good with it. I've adjusted. I've been doing it for over a year now, so I'm good, and I've adjusted. And Father Masan, he came over, and he had an enjoyable time. So it was just a great Easter Sunday, and the Lord is risen. The Lord is risen, Marver.
Yeah. And happy Easter to everybody. And the Passover ends at sundown, so happy Passover as well. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize this too when I talk about Gonzaga. I thought they play in the kind of a mid-major conference, but their non-conference schedule was pretty potent. They were supposed to actually play Baylor on December 5th, but they beat Kansas and Auburn, West Virginia, Iowa, and Virginia. So I mean, they didn't play a cupcake non-conference schedule at all.
Not at all.
But normally when you look at their conference, Pacific and Pepperdine and BYU and San Francisco, it's mid-major, so it's hard to really judge them. But they did a strong non-conference schedule. Like I said, they were actually supposed to play Baylor on December 5th, but that got canceled.
Right. Baylor, of course, and it's been tough and challenging for all the programs across the country, and congratulations to all the schools, and thank you. We really have to say thank you, because and again, that shot was incredible, and it's unfortunate no one lost that game. It just so happened that Gonzaga won the game. But that's what we needed as a society. Yeah. March Madness, and for many is March Sadness. But the fact that we have sports that we can watch, that we can listen to. Of course, the Rewind Sports 60 on WCPT 820 AM here in Chicago. But thank you to all of the people, the athletes, who made the sacrifices, who went above and beyond to put together a product that was safe, with some, instances of, people contracting, the virus or whatever the case may be. But the fact that they were able to get through the season, get through the conference tournament, and of course the major tournament, and I'm surprised, honestly, that we were able to get to the national championship game played at Monday night in Indianapolis, because as you well know, when it first started, there were 6 officials who were sent home because of contact tracing.
And don't forget, Virginia Commonwealth was the one casualty of COVID in the tournament.
Exactly.
And as it was, Baylor had 2 pauses. They played 1 game in a 3-week period in February, and they played 1 game in a 2-week period in December.
Yeah.
It's
but that's the thing with Gonzaga. They had to scramble to get some games together. Hence, you talked about Iowa and Kansas having to play them in neutral spots or whatever because of what this pandemic, and they were able to keep things rolling and moving and not miss a beat. And again, they find themselves the #1 ranked team in the country, ready to play for the national championship, and we can certainly expect it to be an outstanding basketball game, I believe, based on the fact that we watched an incredible. And you talk about one shining moment. One shining moment, that was a one shining moment for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be repeated much like the Leitner shot for years to come. They kept talking about it 28, 29 years after the Leitner shot, because Hill being on the telecast was the one that delivered the pass.
Exactly.
So you'll see this in the replays, obviously, for years to come as well.
Is that the most incredible shot that you've seen in NCAA tournament history?
It was absolutely. The fact that you shoot from that far, usually if you hit the backboard, it's not going to go in because it's from so far away. You're going to get more of a. Right. I was just surprised that it just kissed up the glass and went right in. It was almost as if it was magnetized.
It was just. Suggs had perfect form, and I thought that possibly UCLA they didn't want to foul, of course. They certainly didn't want to do that, and they just figured, hey, if this guy takes this shot up,
the defender actually put his hand up.
Yeah, he did.
There was some defense, on that shot, but
right, exactly. Yeah. But I'm thinking if he takes a step, the defender takes a step up, and forces Suggs to go left or right. That's going to be enough time to cost him before he can get the shot off. Right. But regardless of it was fate. It was certainly fate. It was an incredible shot, and his teammates. It was. Can you imagine if that place, Lucas Oil Arena in Indianapolis, it was packed? Right. Oh my God!
Not to compare him to the great one, but it was Jordan-esque with him standing on the table. Remember how Michael did that?
Exactly. Yeah, when at the United Center when he won the championship. Yeah, but here's the deal. You think that's the biggest shot ever in NCAA history?
Well, it's certainly going to be in terms of in a semifinal, because the Leitner was in a regional final. So this is probably even a bigger deal than that was.
So the 2 of them come to mind. Tyus Edney,
and then
with UCLA, right?
And then Drew.
Yeah,
from Valpo.
Bryce Drew.
Yeah.
That was an incredible shot for sure.
And it was earlier in the tournament, so that's why.
That's exactly
a little bit more gravitas.
And Danny Ainge, remember Danny Ainge he took a length of the court and scored.
Brigham Young,
and that was against DePaul, right? Was that DePaul?
I don't think so. Brigham Young, though. I don't think DePaul played Brigham Young in the tournament, but I could be wrong.
Did he take it? Who did he take it coast to coast against? It wasn't. Look that up. Was that against DePaul? For some reason, it sticks in my mind. But those are two plays that came to mind. But that play, that was an unbelievable shot. It was a great game, and congratulations again to both programs for playing outstanding, entertaining basketball for 40+ minutes. And of course, the Gonzaga advances to the championship game to take on Baylor and.
Notre Dame, 1981.
Was it Notre Dame? Yeah, it was okay. It was Notre Dame. Yeah. I don't know why. Because DePaul. Okay. What year was it?
81.
Yeah, 81. So DePaul. Yeah, DePaul.
They were still in their good period.
Yeah, they were still in there. Yeah, they were still in there.
It was 48 all, and then
and he took it coast to coast. Yeah, and he laid. That was an incredible, because you can't. The rule of thumb is to stop the ball. Stop the ball. That's all you do. Stop the ball.
And that was in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and Tyus Etney, he was with UCLA. Who was that? Who was he against? But he drove it the length of the floor.
He went the length of the floor.
Those are some incredible. And of course,
the long distance shots really seem to be the ones that you see the replays on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? It's just great, and again, we commend the NCAA for all the mistakes that they make and all the shenanigans that goes on with the NCAA. They got this one right as far as putting everything, the protocol, selecting Indiana as the place, destination for everyone to, locate to play.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll still move all around the country, but it might give you pause to think about maybe this should be a model for the future. It works so well.
Well, I don't know about that. Because first and foremost, you want to get fans interacted, that's for sure, and hopefully we get to that point. And secondly, you want it to be across the country to get everyone. And money is a big. I'm tearing up the place. Money is. I dropped my bottle here.
Oh my gosh.
But money is a factor as well. So there's money to be generated, through this tournament. And again, for the simple fact that we've never seen this before, and we missed the tournament last year. It was a breath of fresh air. I'm sure for the players, but definitely for society and basketball fans and sports fans to get a chance to enjoy March Madness. And unfortunately, our teams have to bail out. The Ohio State Buckeyes lose to Oral Roberts, and congratulations to them for moving forward. The Illini Nation were upset that Loyola knocked them off, but that's why they call it March Madness, and now the new tag, March Sadness.
Yeah, the UCLA was 95, by the way, Edney over Missouri.
Yeah. So those two drives are ones that I remember vividly in my mind, for the simple fact that I couldn't remember that it was Notre Dame, and I thought it was DePaul. But the fact that these two players drove down the middle of the court to lay it up to win the basketball game. But at any rate, ladies and gentlemen, it is the fastest hour in sports conversation. We want you to be a part of it. Anything in the world of sports you girls and guys want to talk about, we're right here for you. Our number is 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. We're going to be switching gears shortly. We got a guest coming on. This guy is certainly a friend of the program, and I've known him for quite some time. And I don't know if you heard, but of course, congratulations to the Chicago Cubs on their 4-3 victory over the Pittsburgh Pirates this afternoon over at the Friendly Confines. They take 2 or 3 out of the series against the visiting Pittsburgh Pirates to open up the 2021 campaign. But the vendors, they have vendors over at Wrigley, but they're not going to have any vendors over at Guaranteed Rate Field when the White Sox open up on Thursday of this later in this week. And a longtime iconic beer vendor here in Chicago has called it quits, and he's hanging them up, and he's going to come on the Rewind Sports 60 to rewind and reflect on his 55-year career as a vendor. Wow. He's a bender and a vendor here in the Chicagoland area. But as far as the Cubs are concerned, I was over at the Friendly Confines taking in that ball game yesterday with Jake Arrieta on the bump to get his first win. And I got to tell you, it was a beautiful day. Not as beautiful as Easter Sunday today, but it was a beautiful day at the Friendly Confines. 10,000 fans on hand and social distancing in place, and it was really refreshing to be out there, Marvelous. So you're a big fan of going to games, and you have season tickets out there at the Friendly Confines. But it was just a great experience to finally get a chance to see some live baseball and interact with some people. Now, the one thing that I did like about it, and we'll get your thoughts on it real quick, Marvel, is the fact that there weren't 40,000 fans. There weren't 35,000 fans. So you didn't have to bump against people and rock it, and once you were done with whatever, working or whatever the case may be, you can walk to your car, get in it, and drive out and not have to worry about traffic jams and all that stuff. So that was really, really refreshing. But overall, it's just great to have baseball back in the greatest city in the world, Chicago.
Yeah, it's great to have fans back. And also, there's going to be no touch vending, you know, like you were saying, and you still worry about the COVID. I mean, they already had an incident. You know, the Mets in Washington had their entire series wiped out.
Exactly.
And of course, and it was, I think it was Washington, the team that I call the Cubs East now because of Davey Martinez. You know who he has? He has John Lester, he has Schwarber, and he has Starlin Castro on that team. So I call them the Cubs East. But there was an incident where they had to cancel the whole series already in the first weekend of the season, which was scary with the Nationals and the Mets. But in terms of Wrigley Field, you know, I went for a number of years. It was a partial weekend package, and my cohort is now moved out of town, so we're not involved this year. But I'll get out there for sure.
Oh, yeah, we'll certainly get you out there, no question about it. But yeah, there's no touch. I talked to a good friend. He's a beer vendor out there, Tony Donato, and I had a chance to talk with him real quick. And they have these little computers, these little devices, and you know, they scan, I guess, the beer
like iPads,
yeah, and they I guess they scan the credit card, and you know, that's how their transactions take place. And if fans want to give them a tip, I guess there's they can
way to do it.
Yeah, they just on the computer there, they just type in the tip, how much tip they want. But he also said that they can, you know, if the fans want to just throw them a buck or two in their beer basket, you know, they can do that as well. But they said on opening day at Wrigley Field, as far as the vendors were concerned, there were about 30-35 vendors. But yesterday's game, Saturday's game, they had somewhere, from what I understand, 60 vendors. So they upped it. But again, 10,000 fans on hand to take in the ball game. And honestly, for me, just looking with the naked eye that I have, and I'm not that good at judgment as far as crowds are concerned, but to me, marvelous. Honestly, it looked like it was more than 10,000 fans.
I mean, I was watching on television, and there was good spacing. I saw in the bleachers, the grandstand. It looked like, you know, they were spread out pretty well. They said when they said 20%, I thought, you know, that would be more like 8,000 when you do the math out of 40. But
well, no, they raised it to 25%.
So there's the 10. Okay,
yeah, they raised it up to 25%. But I was like, and Jake Arrieta, after his victory last night or yesterday against the Pirates, he, in his post game comments, he said, "Hey, he goes, it seemed like it was more people than that."
Well, yeah, compared to last year, you really can feel that way. With Arrieta and Davies today, I mean, they stepped right in to replace Lester and Darvish, so that was a good sign too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was it was good. Congratulations to the Cubs, and real quick, your thoughts on the White Sox and what they're doing out there in Anaheim.
Yeah, I mean they got to have a little bit more offense. Their pitching was okay, and they're going to have the primetime ESPN game tonight. So I hope that they can get a little bit stronger offensive performance. And I don't think they're going to have to worry about their pitching because the rotation is so solid.
Right.
You know, Giolito and Lynn and all. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to win tonight because. I want them to get off to a good start.
Well, I think Sox fans want them to get off to a good start as well. And when they lost the opener, I think a lot of Sox fans were kind of beside themselves and like, oh my God, how did we lose a game? This is, the Bronx Bombers, so to speak, right? The 27 Yankees. I mean, how could they lose? And in the post game, Chuck Garfien and Ozzie Guillen on NBC Sports Chicago, they say, Hey, take it easy. Slow down. It's only one game. It's over. Don't worry about it. We got a lot of baseball to go. And then they came back into game 2, and they just opened up a can of.
Yeah, they got 12 runs at a 12-8 game on Friday, and then they lost those close games 4-3 on Thursday and 5-3 yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was a disappointing, and the bad thing about it is the fact that it's on the West Coast, so it's a late game, and you're staying up till midnight to watch all this stuff unfold, and then to see them, make bonehead mistakes out in the field. And I can say no pun intended, but pun intended with Luis Robert. How did he miss a fly ball to let him hit him in the head? I asked the question.
In the lights, I don't know.
Well, it's dark. It's dark. I mean, it's dark up there. I mean, the sun went down.
No, but in the lights that are illuminating the field. I mean,
but I did that once. I was playing softball over in Evanston at Robert Crown with my good friend Mark Carmen years ago, and this is when the old body was starting to break down, Marvelous, and I was playing 12-inch softball with the mitt and everything. The ball was hit. I was in right field. The ball was hit. Fly ball. I'm chasing underneath it. I pull the hamstring while I'm running after it. So as I camp under it and it's coming down, there's a runner on third waiting to tag up. So I extend I'm left-handed, so I extend my right arm with the glove, anticipating to catch this ball, and ready to pull it in, get it in my left hand, and whip it home. I was all banged up. My rotator cuff was up. Marvelous. I pulled my arm down before the ball got there, hit me in the head, boom!
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. Everybody's watching me. I run over to try to pick up the ball. I try to throw it. My left arm, rotator cuff, it's called a flap tear is what I got. That's what my doctor said. I tried to throw it in. It felt like my arm was ripped off, and I couldn't throw the ball in. It had to come out. But I got hit in the head with the ball because I pulled my glove away too soon. So I understand with Robert what happened with him.
Yeah,
but I don't make millions of dollars. I don't play in the major league, so it wasn't, my ego was damaged, but that's about it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I say, I mean, Keuchel had a bad outing, but Lynn was okay, and Giolito. So their starting rotation is pretty good, and I think that if they got to get Timmy Anderson can really get him going. As a leadoff man. Last year he did that, and with Louis Robert and they got Abreu, Adam Eaton's going to be playing a lot more, of course, because of the injuries. But the lineup is, like you say, a quasi-murderer's row.
And, So. It's crazy because Eloy is out.
Yep.
And you're missing this bat. But there's a guy trying to get that position as far as the DH is concerned, and Tony La Russa has to make a decision for sure. And that's is it Yermin Mercedes?
Yeah. Well,
the kid went 5 for 5. He went 5 for 5, and then the next day, yesterday, he came back and get 3 more hits.
Yeah,
it's the best start. The 5 for 5 game was the best start in White Sox organization history.
It's 3 for 4 last night.
5 for 5 and then 3 for 4 is the best start since 1900 for any major leaguer in the game.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And this guy, the journey that he's taken to get to the major leagues, starting in 2011, I believe, played in the International League and the Dominican League, and he's a journeyman, and he just continued to grind, and he finally was in the White Sox organization, finally gets an opportunity, and now he's trying to become the everyday designated hitter for the White Sox.
He really was on the roster as the emergency catcher.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable, and the way that he's hitting the ball is he reminds me of myself when I played baseball way back 100,000 years ago. The kid slaps the ball. So what I would do, I wasn't a power hitter, as you well can look at me and tell, right? But I would slap the ball over the shortstop's head. So just over his head, outreach, stretched out arm, so I can get a base hit. I was a little, as Earl Weaver would call me, a little flea on the bag. So I get on the bags and I could steal second, I could steal third. Kind of like Javi Baez did in the game yesterday at Pittsburgh. He
stole 2 bases.
Yeah, he gets on and he's still second, he's still third, and he comes around. So I was that type of player. But the way that Mercedes is hitting the ball, he's slapping it in the gap and just over the head of the shortstop or the second baseman in the gap to get on board, and he's playing just sound fundamental baseball, and I hope that it continues for sure, because the man he certainly deserves the opportunity.
Definitely. I mean, he's already earned it just from what's happened so far.
Well, wait a minute. Tuffy Rhodes, you remember when he started off? He 3 home runs against Dwight Gooden in an opener, and we see what happened there. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Right. But I mean, we're going to see Dylan Cease will be on the bump tonight. So, and then against Otani, who's the fellow from the Angels, who is also plays the field as well as pitching.
It's amazing. Yeah, he's a pitcher and he's a fielder also, and it's surprising and kind of amazing that you don't have more players who, because when you grow up, that's what you do. I mean, you play all positions, you even pitch and all of that good stuff. But this guy has continued to do it all the way up to the majors, and he's an exceptional talent.
Well, now with the DH, of course, the pitchers growing up don't need to know how to hit.
Right, and that's exactly right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation. He's Dan Marver. I'm Jerry Riles. This is the Rewind Sports 60 on WCPT 820 AM here in Chicago in the great neighborhood of Jefferson Park. And ladies and gentlemen, we're talking baseball, no question about it. And we talked about the field of play, the players involved in the game, and what they've been able to do thus far. The White Sox are looking to try to get back on the 500 and winning ways in Los Angeles against the Anaheim Angels. And, of course, the Cubs with their 4-3 victory this afternoon over at the friendly confines on the north side. This man has taken in, I can't even imagine how many games this man on our TRS60 hotline, our next guest, has taken in. But I can tell you this for sure, almost for sure, this gentleman has been serving you, Chicago, sports fans. It doesn't matter if it's the Cubs, doesn't matter if it's the Sox, doesn't matter if it's the Hawks, doesn't matter if the Bulls, doesn't matter if the Bears, doesn't matter if the Sting, doesn't matter what. This man, I guarantee you, has served you. If you've had one ice-cold beer, whether it's Falstaff or Budweiser or whatever the case may be, I'm almost 100% sure this gentleman has served you a beer because he's been doing it for 55 years in the greatest city, Chicago, and he's finally... It's only one thing that can cause him to hang him up and say, that's it. And it was the pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. He's on our TR60 hotline. He's Lloyd Rutke. Right, Lloyd, how are you, man? Thank you for coming on the Rewind Sports 60. And you've announced that you're, after 55 years of service, you're finally hanging him up as far as vending is concerned. And that's all she wrote. How are you, my good friend? And welcome to the Rewind.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and this is my farewell address to the vending empire. My vending, I'm stepping down from my position as a person who probably has sold more beer in the seats than any person in the history of the world, including in maybe somebody in New York could have sold as much. I mean, I know some other guys have worked longer, but they've had stands. I've always, except for 1 year in 1982 I have a stand in the bleachers where I could still see the game with my good friend Arnold Lipsky. And other than that, my entire career has been working the seats where I could see the game, and I did watch the game because that's why I did it for 55 years.
Yeah.
And it would have been a 56 that I could have tied DiMaggio last year. But nobody came to the games. Something happened, so they didn't need me. And they played a few games. But anyway, that was all she wrote. I started when I was 17, and so it was time to, I just turned 73 a few weeks ago, and this was about it. This year didn't look too good either. I mean, from what was going on last year around March, April, May. I mean, because when the season, when the season was supposed to have started, they thought, well, maybe May 1st we'll get going. And then that got worse. And then there's maybe June, and then it looked like they probably wouldn't even play. And I kind of think maybe they shouldn't have, because I didn't like a season with all these silly rules of 7-inning doubleheaders and man on second leading off a 10th inning. And the worst thing was all these that they increased the playoff roster from, what was it, 7 teams could make the playoffs to 14 teams in each league.
Right.
So that was what really turned me off. But they played, and I really didn't watch much during the whole season, and then I kind of vowed never to. But when the playoffs came on, I watched almost everything. But it's still, anyway, it was, by May, I decided, we looked like this is time to get out. And we, my wife, Felita, and I, we decided to move to Bloomington, Illinois, where my oldest daughter, Katie, lives with my grandchildren and her husband. And because so now we're only 8 minutes away from them as opposed to 2 hours and a half away from them. And, that's, it was time to go away. And as I said, last year might have been my last year anyway. And this year could have gone on this year, but who knows? And so this is fans. I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Well, I got to tell you, you are certainly one of the luckiest men on the face of the planet. That's no question about it. And you are definitely an iconic figure here in Chicago in the sports world because of your, again, and it is 55 years that you vended here in the Chicagoland area, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I worked approximately 8,000 baseball games between the White Sox and Wrigley, and I worked a little bit at the old Soldier Field. I never ever went to the spaceship, the one, but and I didn't work that much at Soldier Field until I started my career. Pretty much that was everybody had to work there a little bit. It's like the college all-star game.
Yes.
And but there was no beer selling. Beer was not allowed in Soldier Field until the early '90s.
Right.
So and then they only allowed nobody. They still didn't allow beer vendors in the seats, but they did give like the top 25 guys with seniority a chance at like these beer carts in the below, on the concourse level,
right.
Where so for 50 or 60,000 of desperate beer drinkers, mostly men, and it was a fantastic gig. We'd sell 35, 40 cases because they didn't have any, 25 guys in this, as opposed to like a baseball game where there maybe even with their full house, there was 150 guys selling beer, and it still did. We still had many years when we did really great. I mean, even like the 80s and the late 70s,
Mm-hmm.
there was days when we would do 30 loads sometimes. But I know you started in like 1981, right?
Yeah, I started the early 80s, and I can tell you when I got in, and I do have to say you're an author of 2 books here in Chicago about the vending, one on the north side for the Cubs and one on the south side for the White Sox. We'll get a chance to talk about that. But I can remember when I started, my great brother, may he rest in peace, Jimmy Riles, got me and my family into vending, and Rich Roski, his mom worked in the vending office, and my brother and Rich were good friends, and Rich invited my brother down, and the rest is history. But I can remember when I started vending as a young lad. Lloyd, you that's the first name that I heard, and it was. I mean, again, you are seriously an iconic figure as far as the sports and vending here in Chicago, because when I heard your name mentioned back in the early 80s when I started, it was due to the fact, now the big thing was for vendors, if you could carry doubles, right? So that's 2 cases of beer. If you could carry doubles, you were considered, a stud. You were considered like, okay, I'm a top dog. Lloyd, tell people, because I heard this guy doubles, nothing to him regarding doubles. Tell people how many cases of beers you used to carry back in the day when you first started.
Well, if it was going really good, I would take triple loads.
Triple?
Of course, the beer, triple loads, it was just 12, they were 12-ounce cans, but we had to take the cups, and I had to pour them, and it was pretty bulky, and I'm not that big a guy, but only like 5'6", 5'7", and 170 pounds, and whatever. But it was if you were in shape, and I happily, luckily, I was in very good shape, and my body never had the usual back aches and leg pulls and knee injuries that pretty much 75% of everybody else who worked, maybe anywhere close to that I did has had that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, although I had daily aches and pains, but it never got me out of the lineup. I was there, one time 8 years straight at Sox. I didn't miss a game at White Sox Park Comiskey Park for 8 straight years, and I pretty much worked like 155 games a year at least, almost every year. And some of the times I would have worked more, but it used to be, it was if teams they both were at home, you couldn't work both games. Even though the Cubs didn't have lights until 1988, there was almost there was day games when both teams were home, but and then after that. Since then, there were night games when they were both home. So, but I hardly ever missed. So that was for sure. I even like my sister's wedding. I mean, it was a doubleheader at Wrigley, and her wedding was like at 7:00, and I worked till like 5:30. So I still got the, but that was it. I was there every day. But me taking triples, what a lot of guys did. I mean, there's a few guys who were better than me, like Art Newman and Eli Lawrence, and who were better. I was never the best. I was always maybe top 5. However, I outlasted everybody.
Yeah, Eli was very good too. I remember Eli. He was very good. There was a lot, but I can certainly remember definitively that Lloyd. They said that's the guy right there, and I would observe you and watch you. And my brother respected you to the utmost, and I said, okay, that's my goal. Because I mean, when I started out, I was selling popcorn at Old Comiskey, and I was selling the we did the soda. I did the soda. It was terrible, but you had to do it, and we did it for maybe I did it for maybe like a week or two, and then Johnny Stanenka, he put me on the ice cream, the Frosty malts, and then Leah Musho, I love her to death. I love her to death. Yeah. But Leah Musho, he called us in and said, hey, I want you to sell this fresh and frosty stuff, and she and I looked at each other, and we're like, and it was like $75 a load. You got like 70, I think it was $75. That was a lot of money back then. And he said, hey, I want you guys to sell it.
You didn't make $75 a load.
No.
You weren't you were getting 20% commission.
Yeah.
You might have made $10 a load.
No, we made. Well, it was more. No, it was more than anything in the ballpark. Because peanuts, you got like you got like $18 or something like that. But whatever the case, it was fresh and frosty. Okay. It was fresh and frosty, and he said Leah Musho and Jerry Rouse want you to sell. And Leah was kind of skeptical. She's like, wait a minute, what the hell are we selling this stuff for? But we were only 2 in the ballpark selling it. I said, Leah, we got to do this. We got to do this. We're gonna sell this. And she said, okay. And we sold it, and we were kicking butt. And it was, I worked my way up to beer when I turned 21. And 1983, 1984, probably for me, personally, those were probably the 2 best years of my life working in Chicago as a vendor. It was unbelievable because here's the beauty. And you know this, Lloyd. We could sell after the games. It was unbelievable.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. You would... some of the good part of that was that a lot of guys, had other jobs, so they didn't want to work as late. They would start to check out so late. You could still, 7th, 8th inning, maybe some sales weren't as good, but there was less vendors because guys were checking out. They wanted to go home, and we could, I'd take double loads out after the game because a lot of on big days when there was huge crowd, it's not easy to get out of the park, and a lot of fans know, but like half the fans think, I'm going to get out, and then, so immediately as soon as they're first last out, they're jamming the aisles. But the other people they've been there for a good time. They're sitting there. They're not going to get up and wait, struggle to get out in 10 minutes. They'll wait 10 minutes or 15 minutes when the aisles are clear, and they would go out. So there would be still quite a lot of people in the seats. And then we go up in I'd wait till I could get out there and with my loads and sell some more. And then when enough people had left the seats, we'd go by the washrooms. And we'd get the beer in by the doors and get them before we left. And he said, cold can for the road. And
it was the best.
And we couldn't sell on the street. That was against the liquor licenses, but it was not responsible.
No,
I have to say.
No,
but things changed. And by mid '80s, after 83, the Sox won the division. In '84, the Cubs were in the playoffs too, and things were attendance was really really good for quite a while, and so then it was just. And then they started to restrict how late we could sell. And you could still sell to the end of the game, but you couldn't get any more.
Right.
After the 7th inning or 8th inning, so you had to load up in the 8th inning to make sure you could last that long if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And then after that, you had to stop at the end of the 8th inning, so things like that. But other than that, and of course, as years went by, the sales have, kind of trimmed down. I mean, when I used to, in 1981, I averaged 27 cases.
Oh, my God. 27 cases?
Stupendous. And the last year I vended in 2018, I think my average was 4 loads.
That's unbelievable.
And it's not because I was so old, I mean, I was old, and I wasn't quite as, vigorous as I was when I was
27 loads.
Lloyd, this is Dan. I'm in the studio too. I was a vendor as well. I'd really feel in Soldier Field with those teeny little aisles. It was the Chicago Fair, and never did the beers. And I only did soda. I was a young lad, and I don't know how it's changed. And I'm glad that you didn't have a 14-inning game when you went to your sister's wedding, by the way. But what we did back then is I believe that we went and got a tray of soda and gave them cash, and then what we got from the customers was our profit. I mean, way back when. Does that sound even like something you remember?
What, did we paid cash? Everything was cash.
Right.
I mean, we got paid cash.
Right.
I mean, they didn't start. We got paid after every day. We were getting paid cash. We finally, and I think in the late '80s, they finally went to checks, and we would get paid. We wouldn't get paid at the end of the day. I mean, we would get a receipt saying how much money we had earned, but we didn't get any money until the check came. But before that, it was up every day, cash, cash on the line.
Yeah. It's interesting, Lloyd. We're on with Lloyd Rutke, the former Chicago vendor who's just retiring after 55 years of service here in Chicago on our TRS60 hotline, joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. That's why I say 83-84 when the Sox winning ugly won the division, and of course the Cubs in '84 winning the division. Both sides of town, it was packed. It was packed, and you're absolutely right. We used to. It was the greatest job. I think I was an Andy Frame maybe for like a day or two. I think I was an Andy Frame for a day or two, and then I went over. I got smart and went over to the vending because you had cash in your pocket every day as long as you went to work. And you worked hard, you had cash in your pocket every single day. And when we transferred over to get the receipt, it sucks.
Yeah, well, my cash was sticky cola cash.
It didn't matter if it was sticky from Coke or Pop or beer or whatever. It didn't matter. You had cash in your pocket. You have a nice cold one, and you can go hang out. My brother, Lauren Elps, lived on Lunt in Rogers Park. We would, after the Cubs game, we would have, I don't know, $100-something in our pockets plus tips. Then we'd get a couple 6-packs or 24 cans, and we'd go over to the lakefront and we'd just enjoy ourselves, and then get some sleep, get something to eat, get some sleep, and then get up and go do it all over again. It was a fantastic time of the year, my good friend. And I got to say, my good friend Greg Daniels, I love the guy. Yeah. He's the Greg Daniels. So you are one of the luckiest people on the face of the planet. Greg is another lucky person on the face of the planet. This guy taught kindergarten in Evanston for 27 years. He taught kindergarten 27 years. He's single. He's got a condo. His summer job was a vendor at the ballparks in Chicago. I go, man, you got the greatest job in the world. What is wrong with you, you knucklehead? He corrected me and said the Fresh and Frosty, it was $1.25 that Leah and I was selling back in 84. Whatever the case may be, we were the only two selling that product, and we made a hell of a lot of money during that time.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know how your back held up for all those years. I was only doing it a little while, and I've already had back surgery.
Yeah, tell us real quick before we let you go, Lloyd, because we're short on time. Tell us how you were able to manage your health and physically getting through it, and close us out with the 2 books that you've put together.
Yeah. Okay, well, just basically, I got in shape. I started when I was 17. It was very strenuous at first. After the first day, the first few days, I had to sit down like after every load because it was, the normal person's not used to selling, walking up and down stairs for 3 hours. And besides, when I started vending, I was only, as I said, 17. I was only 5'2". 5'4" or something, and maybe at the most, 5'2". I kept growing until I was 21. So as I grew older, my body grew into it, and I started, working. I could, walk 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, never stop. Although when you're vending, you stop for a sale, so it's not like continuously running a 100-yard dash, like that. But still, puffing and puffing, and you never not got hungry, and you trained yourself never to have to even go to the bathroom. So because time was money.
Right.
But then when I started. I was in college. I started taking pictures because I thought I was only going to work 5 years, maybe 10 years, and I wanted to take pictures to have memories of everybody that worked there, and and I kept taking pictures every year of people, and a lot of people thought it was nuts because I'm taking pictures of, I took pictures of my friends. That was understandable, but taking pictures of all the other workers who I didn't even know, But I said I just wanted their faces and memories, and I took their names down, wrote the history down, the dates when I took the pictures, and in 2015, my friend Joel Levin decided that he thought he could get a book done, and he was thinking of one himself, but I had all the pictures. Now, Joel Levin had only worked from 62 to 77, so he had really not as much knowledge about vending as I did, and I kept diaries ever since 1967, and I cared much more about baseball. I loved it. That's why I did it, as I said, so long. And when Dick Allen was playing, I would stop vending to watch him bat.
Yeah,
just so,
my brother loved him.
I wouldn't.
So real quick, Lloyd, I had to cut you short. If people can find these books, where can they find it to get a copy of it?
Well, White Sox Park's Amazing Vendors and Wrigley Field's Amazing Vendors. I think Barnes & Noble's was selling them a lot of places, but it's on Amazon.
In Evanston, yeah.
Yes.
And the names of the books?
White Sox Park's Amazing Vendors and Wrigley Field's Amazing Vendors.
And you're an amazing vendor, my good friend. It's short on time. It's the fastest hour in sports in Chicago. Lloyd, thank you so very much for taking time out on this Easter Sunday to share some memories with us. God bless you. Enjoy your retirement, my good friend. And we certainly, hopefully, get an opportunity to talk with you down the road again. Okay?
Okay, Jerry, I'm here. I'm retired, and I'm just watching baseball.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you. Lloyd Rutsky on our TRS60 hotline. Real quick, Marvelous, before we go, 5 seconds.
5 seconds. I mean, it looks like an interesting book. I may get it myself. I think you can get it through Amazon, so I'm going to do it.
Thanks to the Marvelous One. Thanks to our producer, Devin Tingle. It's been another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. Happy Easter, all of you guys. Take care. We'll talk to you next week. We had the great mayor, Lori Lightfoot, on with us, and we talked a little bit about the Bears and Coach Nagy. And if you will, take a listen of what the mayor said about Matt Nagy as play calling and Mitchell Trubisky. Give me a second here.
Is Nick Foles the answer? We're going to see once they get out on the field and start putting it together on the offense. But the inconsistency of Trubisky over these last few years, it's just, even in the year that we had a great run, what you saw, I think, last year was the inconsistent offense. It wasn't producing. I thought the play calling was very pedestrian.
So Mayor Lightfoot joined us earlier this year, and those were her thoughts regarding the Bears brass as far as the coaching was concerned, as far as the play calling was concerned, and her views and thoughts on Mitchell Trubisky. How do you respond to that?
Well, Mayor Lightfoot is a great example of what it means to be a Bears fan. She's passionate. She's opinionated. She thinks that she knows what's best for the Bears, and she wants the Bears to meet her expectations. We welcome that from Mayor Lightfoot and all Bears fans. when we made the decision that we announced this past week, we understood that not everyone was going to agree with it. Maybe the majority of Bears fans would be against it, but we all want the same thing. We want the Bears to be winners. We may have different ideas of how to get there, but we all want the Bears to be successful, including the mayor.
Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
What's up, Lauren? How are you? We talked about the Bulls, the Black.
TheRewindSports60.com. TheRewindSports60.com.